How's it going, everybody? It is Jacob here. So today, we're going to be starting something a little different here on this channel. So I want to turn this into a series. And basically, what it's going to be is, I'm going to create a discussion topic, a topic of discussion. So in this instance being, which game between Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey I think should win Game of the Year. The thing that's going to be a little bit different is, I want to have a little bit more viewer interaction. So what I'm going to do is at the end of the video, I'm gonna kick this off by discussing my own view on it, but I want you guys, when this video is done, to go and leave in the comments your thoughts. Now you can I encourage you to try to make it funny if you can. I kind of want this to be, funny and upbeat, but then also have a little bit of topic discussion in it. And so basically I will go and then record a video, me responding to your guys' comments, and we'll figure out the kinks. But I really just want to get this started. I want to try to see how it's received. I want to see what you guys think about it, and kind of work out some kinks, because this is something that I've really been wanting to do for a while, is have like a series where I can actively interact with you guys in what you say, and I think that this is a great way to do it. So, Game of the Year. Big topic. Now, there are two games that Nintendo has made, so Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are two of the top contenders for Game of the Year. A lot of people think that it's really only between the two of those. There's other games, obviously, that are contenders for Game of the Year, but between those two from Nintendo, which one do I think should win Game of the Year? Personally, I would have to say Breath of the Wild. Now, disregarding my bias towards the Legend of Zelda series, because I'm going to be honest, personally, I think I enjoy Mario Odyssey more. As a game, I think I like Mario Odyssey more. As a Mario game, I think Mario Odyssey is a better Mario game than Breath of the Wild is a Zelda game. Now, I love The Legend of Zelda, but I don't think it was the best Zelda game, in my opinion. Now, that being said, this is a matter, why I'm picking Breath of the Wild comes down to a matter of fact that Breath of the Wild was a more impactful game on the franchise and Nintendo as a whole. When you sell a game, and in the beginning, first few weeks of that console launching, the game sells more copies than units of the console sold, that says a lot. Breath of the Wild completely changed the face of the Legend of Zelda series. And something is for the better, something is for the worse. I think it's for the better, but there were some things that I didn't like about it. But I think when it comes down to which game had more of an impact on the gaming community, on the gaming franchise, Breath of the Wild did more for Zelda than I think Mario Odyssey did for the Mario series. Not to say that Mario Odyssey was not an impactful game, but when it comes down to sheer differences, and this is kind of where it gets a little tricky, because Mario Odyssey, a brilliant game, brilliantly made. It is absolutely amazing. And like I said, I think personally as a game, I think Mario Odyssey is a better game in my opinion than Breath of the Wild. But I still hold strong that I think Breath of the Wild should win Game of the Year for the sheer fact of how much it did for the Legend of Zelda series. Because how I view Breath of the Wild as a game, I view it similar to how Ocarina of Time was back in 1998. When Ocarina of Time was released, that was a game that completely changed the face of Zelda, much like how Breath of the Wild changed the face for the Zelda series today, to this day now. When you look back and you think how Mario 64 changed the face of Mario back in 96 compared to how Odyssey changed it, I think Mario 64 was a much more impactful game than Mario Odyssey on the Mario franchise, Nintendo, the community as a whole. Now, how I view it though, with that being, I view it similar to Ocarina of Time, because Breath of the Wild was one of those games where so many people played it and it got so big, like Ocarina of Time did. It was similar in how so many people were introduced to the Legend of Zelda series with Ocarina of Time because it became such a big game. You ask a lot of people my age, kind of the generation right before me, you ask them, what's your favorite Zelda game? And almost all of them will say Ocarina of Time, because that was the first Zelda game they played, because it got so big, right? So that being said, Breath of the Wild is very similar in that aspect to the generation that's below me. The kids that are now 8 to 15, a lot of them, this is their first Zelda game, because Skyward Sword came out in 2011. And it wasn't terribly received, but it wasn't the best received. personally, Skyward Sword was not my first Zelda game, but that was the first Zelda game that, like, I was actually, like, conscious of its launch, right? I played Wind Waker, I played a bunch of other Zelda games before then, but that was, like, the first game that really, like, I got excited for to play, that I looked forward to in the Legend of Zelda series. But all things considered, Breath of the Wild, in my opinion, shares a lot of similarities in effect that Ocarina of Time did. This younger generation now, you ask them what's your favorite Zelda game, and they're gonna say Breath of the Wild, probably for the rest of their life, because of the impact it had on them when they played. Because it was, a lot of people, it's their first Zelda game that ends up being their favorite. That's not my case. My first Zelda game was Wind Waker, but my favorite is Majora's Mask. Obviously, it's not like that for everybody, but there is always a nostalgia to the first Zelda game you play, or the first game you play in any series, or just even the first game you, like the games that you played when you were younger. They always hold a special place in your heart, regardless if they're good or not. You know, obviously, if they're good, they tend to be a little bit more meaningful to you, but Breath of the Wild, from a sheer level of impact on the gaming community, on the generation that we have rising into the Switch, that are now buying Nintendo Switches, these kids, Breath of the Wild is their Ocarina of Time. Since Ocarina of Time, I would have to say that Breath of the Wild is the biggest Zelda game since 1998. Wind Waker, great game, but it didn't sell that great. Neither did Twilight Princess, neither did Skyward Sword. When it comes down to sheer impact of the games, Breath of the Wild just has them beat. But I think it ties with Ocarina of Time, and that's why I think it should win Game of the Year. Not because of how, and granted, it is a great developed game. That it is flawless. It's amazing. The mechanics, the physics, everything about it is amazing. It's not my favorite Game of the Year, but I think it deserves to win Game of the Year. Alright guys, so that was my opinion on which game I think should win Game of the Year between Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey. So, if you guys, now that you've watched this video and you know my opinion, feel free to discuss it down in the comments below. Be funny with it, do whatever you want with it, let your imagination run loose. But I will be going through and I'll be looking through the comments and I'll be picking out some of the comments to feature in the next video to either joke about or to discuss about. Kind of developing this as I go, but I would definitely like this to be kind of more of like a funny, entertaining video with a little bit of discussion involved in it as well. But please leave your comments down in the description so I can go and read them, read all of them, as many as I can. I usually read all the comments. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this and I look forward to reading your comments. Merry Thickmas! And to all a good night, I will see you guys soon.